Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating book, Capital Redefined by Hassani and Gills. It's packed with a powerful idea that's going to make us rethink, well, pretty much everything we assume about the economy, value, and even our own work.
You know, we all kind of take it for granted that work or labor is just a basic fact of life, right? It's something we have to do. But what if that's not the whole story? What if the way we work today is actually a distorted, even broken version of something much more essential to who we are?
So, in this explainer, we're going to walk through the first part of the argument from Chapter 5 of the book. We'll kick things off with labor's origins, then see how our creativity gets turned into labor. We'll look at this idea of true value versus fetish value, unpack what they call the four causes of creativity, and wrap it all up with the anatomy of alienation. Let's get into it.
Okay, first up, labor's lost commoning origin. The question here is there something that comes before labor? The authors make a really bold claim that long before we had labor as we know it, we had something else entirely, something they call our original commoning nature.
And this quote right here, this is the core of their entire argument. They're saying that labor isn't some natural state of being. Nope, it's what's left over after our innate human creativity gets torn away from its roots. You know, its roots in community, in sharing, in collaboration, what they call the commons.
So that raises a huge question, right? How does our natural, creative power get twisted into this thing we call labor power? Well, the authors argue it's not by accident. It's a hidden process, one that starts long before anyone ever clocks in for a job. They've got a name for it, primary abstraction. Now, it sounds a bit academic, I know, but think of it this way. It's that very first critical step where our holistic, messy human creativity, our ability to make things, care for people, and innovate for our communities is taken, measured, and repackaged into a neat little product called labor power that can be bought and sold.
And this is a really key distinction. Now, you might be familiar with Karl Marx's concept of abstract labor, what the authors here call secondary abstraction. That's the process inside capitalism that makes an hour of a coder's time somehow equal to an hour of a plumber's time. But what Hassani and Gills are saying is, hold on, something has to happen before that. Primary abstraction is the precondition. It's what turns our creativity into a commodity in the first place.
So, once you have this split between our original creativity and this new commodified labor, you end up with two completely different concepts of value, which really makes you wonder, what is all our effort actually creating? On the one hand, you have what they call true value. This is the kind of value that gets created when our creative power is just allowed to be itself, used freely and with others. Its purpose is really simple, to meet the real needs of people and the planet, leading to actual well-being.
And then, on the other hand, there's fetish value. This is the type of value produced by labor inside the capitalist system. And its goal is totally different. It's not about well-being at all. It's about the endless accumulation of profit. It's value for the sake of the system, not for people.
And this just boils it all down, doesn't it?
This is the core conflict. Is the whole point of what we do to sustain and enrich life, or is it to generate abstract profit? The authors argue that confusing these two is a fundamental, massive error.
Now, to really understand what this human creative power looks like in its original, whole state, the authors do something really interesting. They reach way back in time to the ancient philosopher Aristotle and borrow his framework of the four causes.
They argue that our creative power is like a living ecosystem, and for it to be healthy and to flourish, it needs four interconnected parts all working together in harmony.
So what are they? Well, first is the efficient cause. That's our ability to act, our skills, our know-how. Then comes the material cause. That's our physical selves, our bodies, our minds, our energy. The third is the formal cause. That's our social fabric, our community bonds, and our ability to cooperate. And finally, the final cause. That's our purpose, our why, the shared goal of creating a good life together.
Okay, let's pull this all together in our final section and see how it explains that feeling of alienation so many of us experience at work. It turns out this isn't just some vague feeling. According to the authors, it has a very precise anatomy.
And here's the crucial point. For our holistic creative power to be transformed into that sellable thing called labor power, it has to be broken apart first. The system has to dispossess us piece by piece of those four causes that make our creativity whole.
This slide, right here, is the big aha moment. Look at this. The loss of each of those causes maps directly onto one of Marx's famous forms of alienation. When we lose our efficient cause, our agency, we become alienated from our own life activity. When we lose the material cause, our connection to our bodies, we're alienated from our own human nature. Lose the formal cause, our community, and we're alienated from one another. And finally, when we lose the final cause, our purpose, we become alienated from the product of our labor. It's a perfect fit.
So think about what this really means. Alienation isn't just an unfortunate side effect of a bad job. According to this theory, it's the engine. It's the active, ongoing process that makes the entire system of wage labor even possible. It's not a bug, it's a feature. And the takeaway here is pretty profound. If the problem is the dispossession of these four causes, then the solution can't just be better pay, or even workers owning the factory. True liberation, they argue, means putting all the pieces back together. It requires recommonizing all four causes, rebuilding our agency, our connection to our bodies, our communities, and our shared purpose.
Of course, this leaves us with a huge question. It's one thing to say our creativity is dismantled, but how? What are the actual real-world mechanisms that strip us of these four causes? What does this process of decommonization actually look like on the ground?
Well, that is the perfect place to stop for now, because that's exactly what we'll be digging into in our next explainer. We'll continue our dive into Chapter 5 of Capital Redefined and map out the specific ways this decommonization process turns our creative power into alienated labor. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for joining us.